First, let me thank NBS sincerely for inviting me to speak on the subject. Very exciting topic to talk about when we are discussing oil and gas in the next 90 days. How did we get into this Youth for Business facility? Let me start off first at the continental level, because it's quite important to situate the development of the region as a whole. Africa has seen tremendous growth in the last 20 years. From 2000 to 2016, we saw a growth rate of about 25% in GDP. We have also seen tremendous opportunities in terms of intra-African trade. For example, we estimate that will grow by 25% by 2040, and that will also generate about $6.7 trillion. So the opportunities are vast in the region. So what are we doing? What we are doing is to position our young people who have the energy, who have the creativity, who have the talent, the Ugandans, to prepare them and position them to be part of Africa's story, Africa's growth, Africa's money for Africa's development. The second thing, importantly, is that Uganda has one of the youngest populations in the world. We have about 78% of the population between the ages of 0 and 30, 23% between the ages of 18 and 30. Now, what does it mean for us? It means that we have a huge potential which is not yet fully tapped. The assets are there, the energies are there, the future is there. And when we talk about the youth, it's not only about the future, but it's also now. So what we're trying to do is to really invest in this young, talented, brilliant population that we have. And for us in the United Nations family, when we say leave no one behind, the young people are also part of it. The third thing I would say is to align to the vision of the country, the Vision 2040. But importantly, this facility has been set at a time that the country has completed its third National Development Plan, which has 18 programs. And if you look through the 18 programs very, very closely, you see that the youth empowerment and the vision of the Undp 3, which talks about industrialization, which talks about employment, which talks about entrepreneurship, increasing household incomes. You cannot do that without empowering the young people who are the asset of the country. But also finally, on this point, I think COVID is a factor as well. When COVID hit, and it has hit many countries, it's not only a health issue, it also has socioeconomic consequences. And we have seen that here in Uganda as well. The small micro and enterprises that have lost their businesses. We have seen many sectors, including tourism, which has been impacted. And so how do we help these young businesses to bounce back, to build forward better, to build forward greener, to build forward in a strategic way that they can be more resilient? So this also speaks particularly to the response to COVID. So what are we trying to do? I think the vision for the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and our partners, Stanbic Uganda Holdings Limited, is to work together. Of course, we also intend to broaden the partnership beyond us to see how the young talents that we have, the creativity, the energies can be harnessed for the future of the country. We were very delighted this year and honored and humbled for His Excellency the President to launch this initiative. In August 2000, we presented it to he actually appreciates the vision, and this is also to align to his own vision, and therefore we have set this ball rolling. It has 3 windows basically: a window that focuses on innovative challenge fund and a growth accelerator. What we basically are doing is that we are looking out for businesses maybe a year old or even less that we can support. They can benefit up to about $40,000 if they are successful, to really empower them and to encourage them. But importantly, it's not only to give the money, but how do we accompany the process moving forward? So Stanbic, for example, through the Stanbic Business Incubator, takes on these businesses and helps them with good governance practices, business practices, mentoring, and many other things so they can grow in the business. We also have an element which is the Entrepreneurship Challenge Fund. This is more for the matured businesses, many would say medium scale. And basically what we do is that, we have discussed and negotiated with Stanbic to give them loans at concessional rates and below market rate, but also that they can couple or take also advantage of the grant instrument that we, UNDP, would provide, and also match the concessional loans with some more blended financing. And thirdly, we do have a component that looks at an ecosystem platform. In other words, How do we connect young people to young people? If somebody is producing, tomatoes and somebody wants to process tomatoes into paste, for example, how do you link them together? So more of networking, youth connections, and we do have a platform already we call Youth Connect, which can also be something that can be used. So overall, we are seeking to create about 20,000 new jobs from this initiative, retool about 50,000 young businesses, and also, the multiplier effect is to have at least 100,000 indirect jobs created. And we know Uganda is one of the most entrepreneurial countries in the world. In fact, the Global Entrepreneurship Monitoring shows that about 55% of our young people are actually in business or are trying to establish business. So how do we really connect to these young people? I'm very excited that we can do something like this to support the vision of the country. The uniqueness of this initiative first lies in the fact that it's complementary to what the government and development partners are doing. In other words, we're not just coming to say, oh, ours is very different. Ours is just to reinforce what the government is already doing and what partners are already doing. So that's part of the uniqueness, that it comes to supplement and to complement. The other thing that it also seeks to do is the fact that, and I think I mentioned already, that it's specifically designed to look into the post-COVID recovery and resilience building. So in other words, when we are assessing the applications, for example, that we get, we try to also see which businesses have fallen through as a result of COVID and help them to recover as we move forward. The third thing in terms of its uniqueness is the fact that we have tried to establish the three windows that I talked about: the Innovative Challenge Fund and Growth Accelerator, the Entrepreneurship Challenge Fund, and the ecosystem platform to work hand in hand. In other words, whilst they may be distinct by themselves, once you go through the Innovative Challenge Fund, for example, you can graduate into the Entrepreneurship Fund and get more concessional loans, but you also have access to a pool of young people who are also into businesses. I think in about a week or two, we'll be organizing with Stanbic, a networking event for young people. So that's part of the uniqueness. But when it comes to the role of UNDP, which is part of the uniqueness, we are expected to play a role in the United Nations development system, which is called an integrator role. It is simply to become a support platform to the rest of the United Nations system. So what are we doing in this particular case? We are working, for example, with the Food and Agriculture Organization. The young people in agriculture that they work with, they are also supporting them to assess the facility that we have. We are working with the United Nations Women, the young women, youth, ladies that they're working with. They are also strengthening their capacity, providing them technical assistance to then submit proposals through this facility. We have the 1 million SDG solutions that is being promoted by the United Nations Resident Coordinator. People there can also assess. So we are providing that platform to the system as a whole. And I think two quick things as I conclude on the uniqueness of this initiative is how we are able to surface innovative ideas. We do have what we call an accelerator lab in the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. The accelerator lab is a lab that helps us to look at how do we reimagine development in the 21st century. And they have been part of helping us to really surface this. Where are the innovations? We do have a whole methodology around that. The lab is supported and funded by the governments of Germany, Qatar, and Italy. Here in Uganda, we launched it last year. It's been fantastic in terms of the ideas that they help us with. And I think the fact that we are coupling the accelerator lab with this, as well as Stanbic's own business incubator, it's a strong force and to ensure that we succeed at the end of the day. And finally, for us in the United Nations, of course, by extension, the government of Uganda, the Sustainable Development Goal remains a priority. And here in Uganda, we interpret the SDGs as the NDP 3, which contributes to the Vision 2040. So when we come back to the conversation around leave no one behind, who are those that we are leaving behind? Most of the time, we are leaving behind the youth, the women, the persons with disabilities, things like that. And a concentration on the young people, it's crucial for us to ensure that the SDGs ultimately, from SDG 1 to 17, the young people are part of that story. It is their SDGs, and they have to make sure that it's implemented in a way that propels the development of Uganda. I think the most important thing is for young people to believe in themselves. That is the starting point, where you believe that you have what it takes to become what you want to be. You have the assets, you have the creativity, you have the talent, and therefore, how do you get support system to nurture that potential that you have? I think that is the starting point. And I myself, I have gone through that process as a young person growing in the ghettos of Ghana, where we were, one was socialized with very restricted expectations of yourself. You have to aspire to become somebody, and like I grew up in the ghettos and truly the true ghettos. So for me, what can we do with this? Young people, I think the opportunities are there. You visit our website, the Undp website, and seek for more information on Youth for Business facility. Stanbic also has that information on their website. What we are doing is that we are currently doing a lot of road shows. Please, when we announce the road shows, follow it as well, where we provide a lot of clarifications around this and how you can access it. We do have webinars. I think only yesterday we had some of our colleagues, on NBS explaining the opportunities that we do have. And in the Youth for Business Innovation and Entrepreneurship facility, we have different, themes that they can apply to agriculture, mining, oil and gas, energy, creative industry. What about those who are painting and all that? You can always assess it. And of course, our offices and our doors are open anytime, just let us know. I'll send an email to our registry and we can be able to support you.